I told PJ yesterday I was going to preach on the verse in the prodigal son where, he said that that's rejoice for my son who is dead is now alive again. Because if y'all look on the Facebook thing, you can see PJ posted a picture of our first arrival this spring. This is fall, right? This spring. Now last fall, it was just a devastating time because everything we had just was born dead or it died not long afterwards. But yesterday afternoon, PJ and Kirsten went for a walk and they got as far as the goat pen. I thought, cool. PJ and I work in shifts. She stays up until wee hours of the morning. I get up in the wee hours of the morning and I stay up until, it's time to get up and start moving around. Watching all these mamas. I thought, cool, I get a nap in today. Nestle down in that couch and they walk outside and I just dozed off and Kirsten busts back in the door. Papa, Fudgy's in labor. Takes back off. I put everything back on, I run outside. And there's a head sticking out, which is not good if any of y'all know anything about childbirth. So PJ had to push the thing back in and tongue's hanging out. So she's like, it's already dead. Put it back in, get the legs and pulled it out. As she pulled the baby out and it falls in her hand, she goes, there's a heartbeat, it's alive! So I affectionately called it Frankenstein. It's alive! And I told her that's what I'm going to preach on. She said, you better not. All right. So, she is at home bottle feeding a goat, of course, because the young mother, it was such a hard delivery that we just went ahead and kept the baby off of her. We'll just milk her and feed the baby until one of y'all lovely people will take it off our hands and bottle feed it for us. No takers. Okay. This past couple of weeks has been fun. First, one of our dogs has this affection for skunks. And we were talking about, because it was rank. And we were talking about, how do we get the smell out? And I said, I remember when I was a kid, Mom had to get the smell out of all of us and Grandpa's house. She said, why Grandpa's house? My grandfather was interesting. He had a shotgun standing at attention right beside the head of his bed. And yes, it was loaded. Yes, there was a round in the chamber. All you had to do was push a little button called safety, and it was on. So he would wake up, sit there on his bed, take a shotgun. Boom, boom, boom. This is in his bedroom floor now. Boom! He shoots a skunk through the floor.
Oh my gosh.
This is the same guy that my father had to patch his walls many times in his house because he would shoot rats through the wall. Yes, we lived in the sticks. But, so I called Mom and she said, I think it was like baking soda and something else that she put on him. Anyway, PJ got a concoction and she washed the dog. It was funny. And I was thinking, that's funny how that scent gets on him. And he didn't, there was a fence between him and the skunk, obviously. But he didn't have to actually get in there and love on the skunk with his teeth or anything. He just had to get close. I thought, that would preach. Then I get a call from the doctor that says, hey, your blood work's back, and what is your diet like? I said, well, I eat from all 5 food groups. There's beef, beans, bacon, biscuits, and coffee. He said, yeah, you might want to change that. So I thought, well, talking to our church members, and there's somebody that does everything in this church. I said, well, there's someone I know that does this real healthy stuff called juice cleanses. So I called her up, and I said, hey, you got the recipe? She goes, yeah. She gives it to me. Folks, she can be healthy. My heart is going to have to fend for themselves. That was the nastiest stuff. That was like potty water.
Potty water.
But I was thinking, you know, all the stuff that I'm putting in my body that they're saying is bad for me tastes good. It's really good. I mean, come on, all 5 food groups are good, right? So, and I'm thinking, also, man, that kind of would preach too. Well, as I'm going through here and I'm thinking on that, this one verse comes to mind. And this is, I'm sorry, 2 Corinthians 7:1. I'll let y'all go there. Shame who's turning. No one turns. They get their phones out and go, Still the word. It's still the word. I'm going to read 1 Corinthians 7:1, then I'm going to back up a few verses, but that's all right. 7:1, 2 Corinthians 7:1. I like this. More people are turning Bibles today. I'm holding. I got to stand up and vamp for about 10 minutes till he finds a...
Kids, you get your glasses?
Well, I'm giving him time to get a sermon to put together up here.
Well, the cool thing about preaching is I ain't got to do it. It's done for me. You know what I mean? Or I better not do it anyway.
Okay.
All right. So, 2 Corinthians 7:1 says, since we have these promises, dear friends, let us purify ourselves from everything that contaminates body and spirit, perfecting holiness out of reverence for God. Now, I know probably everyone here, save me, is very proficient at computers. And I hear a phrase constantly at my house, as in with anybody else dealing with computers. And it talks about what you put in your computer, and the phrase is trash in, trash out, right? Well, let's think about that. Trash in, trash out. During this time of maternity, we always get to watch TV a lot more. It's wee hours of the morning. And you know, there's not a whole lot of quality stuff on TV at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And no, I ain't watching the televangelists. Though we have a hate-hate relationship there. So, I'm joking. I just don't get along with their views. But I don't watch that stuff. I do, however, like to watch stuff where, you know, blowing things up and car chases and shooting stuff. I'm a guy, okay? So, I'm watching these things, and I'm contemplating, yeah, I can do 2 things at once. And I'm thinking about my sermon, trash in, trash out, and I'm looking at this, and I'm thinking, man, these folks have got some rough language to be on TV. And the things that they're doing probably, you know, it's not real good. I don't have to actually be involved in it for it to mess with my mind. I just got to be around it. I end up having to turn it over to like Dr. Pohl. Everybody goes, huh? The veterinarian, yeah, he's a good guy. So, and ironically, he's delivering cows. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. So, I'm thinking about all these things. What I'm watching, what I allow myself to listen to. I hardly ever listen to the radio anymore because of the trash that comes out at me. I'm not disrespecting anyone who is on the radio or listens to the radio. I'm just saying that it's not good for me. And I've started looking at what's going on in my life. Yes, I'm trying to start eating healthier, no juices. I'm eating healthier. I'm laying off hamburgers. Man, that is hard. And turkey bacon. Have you ever tried turkey bacon? But, hey, we're working on it. But the things that are coming in my body, some of it sticks, and not in good places. And what's coming in my body, when I eat good stuff like onions and garlic, it comes out of my body, and it wards friends off. You know, put that stuff in, it's coming out of your body. The same thing you put in your mind. What you put in your mind comes out of your mouth. Believe it or not, it does. When I was a kid, with that shotgun sitting beside the bed, I called Mom and I said, hey, I remember Grandpa used to shoot the skunks and the rats and stuff in the house. And Mom said, yeah, that shotgun was always there. I said, yeah, it was, right beside the bedstead. And I was the youngest of the kids of my mom and dad, youngest of the grandkids of my grandma and grandpa. And if you put Ben Gay close to me, I will fall asleep like a baby. Because I slept right between my grandma and grandpa. And they bathed in the stuff. So, you got the same look as PJ. So, here I am. I spent most of my time attached to my grandfather's hip. And I was attached to his left hip because in his right hand carried that shotgun everywhere. When he went to bed, it was right there. If he's in the house, it stays right there. Mom said, you know what? None of y'all kids ever touched that gun. Well, yeah, I'm sure we did once. And then we got our backsides warmed up, or our hand warmed up. And none of us shot each other. Well, none of us shot each other with real guns. BB guns were another thing. We did have some BB gun wars. Actually, Dad might not want to watch this part, but we had BB guns from little. And we had BB gun wars. The most foolish thing my father ever did. I was 8, my brother was 12, and the two cousins that my mom and dad adopted were 12 and 16. No, 12 and 14. So, Dad goes out and buys all 4 of us boys 22s. And now, instead of a one cock and like this, the little Daisy BB guns, we have 17 rounds of high velocity rounds in a semi-automatic gun. Now, we're not stupid. We know things kill us, right? We're not. So, here's the deal. All right, I'm going to stand behind this tree. I'm loading my 17 rounds as the other one is unloading his at the tree I'm standing at. And when he's through, I say, are you done? Yeah. Are you hit? Yeah. And I go unloaded him. Now, I didn't get in this as much as my brothers did. They were constantly playing these games. But we knew not to do it. And yes, we got warmed up a time or two when we were playing with our rifles. Because they were a tool. All this goes to say, we were raised knowing that you do not play this kind of games. Yes, we strayed, but you know what? Proverbs 22:6. If you train a child in the way he should go, when he is old, he will not stray from it. Okay, we were trained this as a very young age. What are we using these 22s for? Rabbits, possums, skunks, all these things that we want to kill. If it was vermin, we killed it and put it out there for the coyotes or the dogs. If it was rabbits or squirrels, which my mother would not cook squirrels, we had to go to my grandmother. She said, they look too much like a rat. So rabbits, squirrels, any kind of game animal, we would kill it and bring it home and make my mother cook it. And we had said something one time. I said something to Mom about all the stuff she got to cook. She said, "Yes, I cooked it all except squirrels." I said, "Yeah, but did you like what'd you like most? Is the frog legs?" My grandfather played a trick on her as we were little, and I mean little. We'd go frog gigging, catch all these frogs, start skinning and pull the legs off and skinning them. And Grandpa told us, and my dad told us, you always pull that little, as a tendon or something, out of the leg. So we start doing that. Grandpa says, no, leave them in. But don't worry about it, leave them in. And then we take it into my mother, who soaks them in the salt water, get all the wild taste out of it, flours them up, throws them in the pan, and screams because of jumping back out at her. We love playing tricks on my mom. Anyway, so we were taught what these were used for. We come and we learn that you don't touch them unless you need them. We learn that you treat a person with respect. And if you treat a person with respect, you get it in return. We learn you don't stand for someone disrespecting you. If somebody's trying to bully you, you stand up. You do not allow these things. We were taught a certain code of ethics to live by. In turn, my children were taught that same code of ethics. Right now, I was telling somebody earlier, when I got back from the second time in combat, I was kind of screwed up in my mind, and you could not walk in my house at any point in my house and not take 2 steps and grab a loaded firearm. I was that paranoid. And I had them in couch cushions and everything else. So my kids never shot each other. Why? Because they never touched it. They knew this was not for them. That my children can shoot, and a couple of them are pretty good at it. And they're teaching their kids the same code of ethics. You give respect, you get respect. You do not allow someone to push you around, and they will not push you around. You stand up for those who are weaker than you. It's a code of ethics that if I did not know this from my father, who learned it from his father, who learned it from his father, if I did not have this, I couldn't have taught my kids. That's the good things that we're teaching our kids that comes out. The best thing that I've taught my children, who are teaching their children, a love of God and His Son, Jesus Christ. A respect for the one who made us. Yes, I've taught them bad habits. As I said, last Sunday, my grandfather taught me some bad habits. I passed them right along to my grandsons. But the thing that was most important in all of our life was the knowledge that Jesus Christ died on the cross, was buried, He was resurrected, He lives today, and He's coming back. You can put all the trash in your head you want, as long as you have that instilled, all that trash can roll off. Now, I spent a lot of years in the Army. I spent a lot of years rebelling. And yes, all that trash got in my head and it came right out my mouth. And it came out in the way I lived. And when God got through spanking on me, I kind of changed that. Do I still fall on my face every stinking day? Do I still sin every stinking day? Do I still ask for forgiveness every day? Multiple times a day. I shouldn't have said that, Lord, I'm sorry. Lord, I know I shouldn't have done it. And there's been times I said, Lord, I know I'm not supposed to do this, but I can't stop. And at that point, He starts whipping on me again. But it is the fact that if we instill in our children the proper things, the rules that are put forth in this Bible. Look at Proverbs. It's full of them. Full of things like, you spare the rod, spoil the child. I can't tell you how many times I have seen parents saying, I do not spank my children. But hey, no, you stop. Stop that. Come back over here. Now, you leave the people alone. Come here. And I sat with my 2 children, youngest 2 children, at a doctor's office, getting their shots. And the woman sitting across from me had a little boy who was a terror. I wanted to strangle him. And he's like, you come back here. No, you stop that. Leave the people alone. Now, you stay here and be pretty. No, come back here. And I'm going, And it's not long till he comes over and gets my son, who's 2, I think, and trying to get him to come and play. As my son slides off the chair, I said, get back up there. He spun around, got back up in the chair. The lady said, your children are so well behaved. I just don't know how you do it. I said, I spank them when they act like yours. She got up and walked to the other side of the room.
There you go.
So, what are we instilling in them? Well, I'm going to get on to you, but it doesn't mean anything because there's no fire behind my words. Okay? God told me, you will be at this church until I tell you to stop. And some things were going on, and I got mad. So I said, fine. I quit. And God said, no. You don't understand. When I tell you to do something, you do it. And that is the worst spanking I have ever got in my life. Bar none. By the time the Lord quit spanking on me, I'm through. I'm ready to go back. I tried to go back to the same church, God says, no. I got somewhere else for you to go. And you know what? The stuff that made me mad at that church, I went to the next one, and I got a double dose of it. And he said, now go ahead. Are you going to quit again, or are you going to do what I told you to do? It's kind of like my dad. Well, son, warm you up. Now don't touch that thing again like no, go ahead. Come on, I'll walk you over here to it. Touch it again. No, sir. That's kind of like what God was doing. Come on. Now, you do it again. See what I don't light you up again. No, sir. I'm doing what I'm told when I'm told. Why? Because He instilled in me the proper way to do it. There was fire behind His words. God talks to us every day. I know people tell me, well, I can't hear Him. You're not listening. God talks to us, but not in the way that I'm talking to you. God talks to us through our friends, through our family, through the things that we see. What is that song with George Strait when he saw the flower growing through the crack in the sidewalk? He said, I saw God today. How many times do we see God and not even recognize it? We need to get off the stuff in the world, get away from all the trash, and come back to looking for God. We don't need to rule our lives by what time does Desperate Housewives come on. I know I'll wear that show out because it's the only one I can think of. But what time does it come on? I gotta set my TiVo. We don't have TiVo. I gotta set my, I was gonna say VCR. I gotta set my DVD player. We gotta record this. Our life rolls around or revolves around reality shows, which has nothing to do with reality. Why? Because we want to see this junk. I don't have the knowledge of what shows are rented or what shows are. PJ and I went to see a movie on our anniversary. We thought it was a comedy. Chippy. Oh, Chappie, that was it. Oh, don't go see that one if you are allergic to the F-bomb. There was not a phrase in the show, but they didn't drop it. I'm not really. I stayed because I was wanting to see if there was actually any meat to this thing. No. It was just blowing stuff up and cursing. Is that what we're watching? Is that the trash we're putting in our minds? Better yet, is that the trash we're putting in our kids' minds? I cannot believe this child went into a school and shot 27 people. What's he playing on the video game? He plays a video game where he comes in and shoots a bunch of people in a zombie fight or something. And my daughter had to quit watching zombie movies because my youngest grandson bit the oldest one. He's the meanest of them all. He bit the oldest one. She said, I don't know why he did that, just out of the blue. I said, well, don't y'all watch a lot of zombie movies? She said, oh yeah. What are we teaching our kids? Are we training them up in the way they should go? What is the first book you learn to read? Think back. See James, see Spot Run. Remember those? Yeah, all of us are going, yeah, all the younger ones are going, huh? No. Our granddaughter learned to read on the same books that I learned to read. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Acts, Romans, 1st and 2nd Corinthians. She learned in the Bible. That's what her first textbook was. She learned to read from the Bible. I learned to read from the Bible. My parents, my grandparents read every day. They read to us. Every Christmas morning, we got up and we were read the story of Christmas out of Luke. We learned to read on these things. What are we learning to read on today? I'm not even going to fathom what they're teaching in the schools. What are we learning to read? Are we not only letting our kids go to read the junk there or read the junk at the libraries, are we bringing them home and teaching them to read the Bible? What are we teaching our kids that Sundays are for? Are Sundays for, man, that's a day of rest, I'm going to lay in the bed all day. Or this is a day of rest, I'm going to the lake, I'm going to go fishing. Can't do it around the lakes around here because they're a mud hole. But what are we teaching? Sunday should be a day that you come and with other brothers and sisters, get all that trash out and get recharged with good, godly Christian fellowship. My dad was preaching and one of the you can see him driving past the church every Sunday with a bass boat behind him. And Dad said, you know, you need to hold off on that fishing and come to church. He said, well, I can worship God on the lake just like I can at church. Dad says, yeah, but do you? No. The first step in training our children, first step in putting the good stuff in their head so the good stuff comes out of their head, is to get it right ourselves. If you're here today and you do not know Christ as your Savior, you do not have Him in your heart to show you the right way to do it, right way to raise our children, or to raise other children, and them seeing you do this. I can tell you this, if you're living right, and you're a person of integrity, and you're treating others with respect, others are giving you respect, children are going to look up to you. Now, I know there's a trend today that children are looking up at these guys with their drawers hanging off their backside and a gun in their hand and, you know, all the gangs and stuff. Yeah, they're kind of looking up to them, but you know what? They have respect for the one who gives and gets respect. And I'm sorry, I learned this since I was a child. It was reinforced in the Army. You cannot intimidate respect. You have to give it to get it. Christ came into the world and got respect from everyone he met, except for the bullies, because he gave respect to everyone he met. He did not try to intimidate anyone. Look what he did. He evangelized the world with 12 men. You want to get that? Simple. It's a simple, easy way of doing it. Start a relationship with him. Pray to him. Talk to him. You can talk to him like you talk to me or anyone else, and he will talk back if you're listening. If you're here today and God's talking to you and says you need to get your life right, you need to do what's right, follow me in this prayer. Lord, I know I've done wrong. Lord, I want your correction. I want your guidance. I want you to be in my heart so that I can train my children, so I can train others in the way that you would have us to live. Lord, I want you in my life so that I know that I've got support when I need it, that I'm never alone. Lord, I want you to fill me up with your Holy Spirit, empty the sin out of my life, walk with me, walk around me, walk before me, behind me. Guide me, Lord. I ask these things in your name. Amen. Most important thing you can do. And listen, if you say, you know what, I've been there, I've accepted Christ, but you know, I'm way out in left field here. It's not too late. He's still with you. Christ said, God gave you to me and I will never lose you. He knows right where you are. He knows right what you're doing. All you have to do is reach up and grab him. I'm going to grab a cup of coffee and I'm going to go inside. If anyone wants to talk to me about anything, just come grab me. Sit down and talk to me. If you don't feel comfortable talking to me, the elders, the lay pastors, and oh heck, just grab somebody who has one of these books or got one of those iPhone things and they can look it up. But don't leave here without knowing for a fact that when you leave here, you're covered by the best fire insurance available.